Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive that might just flip the script on how you see the world, maybe even yourself. Ever heard of wanderers?
Wanderers, yeah.
So we're talking about souls from like higher densities, higher realms of existence who chose to incarnate here on Earth.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And get this, their mission is to help humanity evolve.
Wow, that's a pretty big job description.
Right. And we've got these incredible channeled messages to help us unpack it. All forces like Kuyada, Hatten, Lotwe,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, wow, some of the heavy hitters.
Yeah. So buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
I'm ready.
Okay, so when we talk about these wanderers, one question pops up right away.
Shoot.
If creation is already perfect, like a lot of spiritual teachings say, why would these higher density beings even bother with a place as messy and chaotic as Earth?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? If everything's already perfect, why come down here at all?
Right.
Well, it all comes down to this idea of free will. You see, Earth is unique. It's this grand experiment in free will. It's where souls can learn and evolve through all sorts of experiences and choices, even the tough ones.
So it's like a cosmic classroom.
Exactly. And wanderers are drawn here, not in spite of free will, but because of it.
So it's like they're saying, we see the struggles, the pain, the confusion down there, and we're choosing to dive in and help.
You got it. There's this powerful analogy that Kuo uses. They compare Earth's call for help to a planet in travail.
Yeah.
Like it's sending out distress signals that compassionate souls elsewhere can't ignore.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah. And they even call this mission an act of both bravery and foolhardiness.
Foolhardiness, I love that.
Right.
Because it acknowledges the risk, the potential for these wanderers to get swept up in the very chaos they're trying to heal.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder that even with the best intentions, navigating Earth's density can be tough.
For sure. And this brings us to another key piece of the wanderer's puzzle, this balance of love and wisdom.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Because love without wisdom can lead to self-sacrifice, depletion, even harm.
Right. You can't just pour yourself out endlessly. You've got to have wisdom to guide that love.
Exactly. So how do you hold that tension? How do you love and support without getting tangled up in other people's dramas or sacrificing your own well-being?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
Well, the channeled sources offer some really insightful guidance. One key principle is this. Even those who seem to be causing harm are still perfect extensions of the Creator.
So even those who are doing bad things are still ultimately divine.
Exactly. They're on their own journey, learning their own lessons, and we're meant to learn from those interactions, too.
Okay, so it's about seeing the bigger picture.
Yes. It's about understanding that everyone, even those who act in ways that seem negative, is ultimately striving towards wholeness and understanding.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But it still feels tricky.
It is, and that's where boundaries come in.
Boundaries.
Setting boundaries isn't about rejecting someone, it's an act of self-love, which ultimately allows us to serve others better.
So it's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. You've got to take care of yourself to truly be there for others.
Right. And for wanderers, it seems like that mission often involves bringing their unique vibes and wisdom to Earth.
Absolutely. It's about helping to restore balance and harmony and assist in humanity's evolution.
So not about fixing things, but more like being catalysts for growth and change.
You got it. And speaking of catalyst, let's talk about the different waves of wanderers.
Waves. Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. The channeled messages suggest there have been 3 main waves of wanderers, each with its own mission and set of challenges.
Oh, interesting. Okay, break it down for me.
So the first wave, these were the pioneers born before the 1960s. They focus on their own inner work, finding their energy and paving the way for those who came after.
Like the advanced team.
Exactly. Then you have the second wave, born during the 60s and 70s. They felt this agency to wake up humanity, often drawn to activism and social change.
Makes sense with all the upheaval happening then.
Right. And finally, we have the third wave, the indigo and crystal children. These are the sensitive souls here to help heal the planet itself, often challenging traditional systems.
Wow. So each wave builds on the work of the one before it.
Exactly. And get this, the majority of wanderers currently on Earth are likely from the 6th density.
6th density, that's like way up there.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a realm where love and wisdom are perfectly balanced.
Okay, so that's like a high bar.
It is. But it makes sense that beings from such an evolved realm would be drawn to help us navigate the challenges we face down here.
So they're offering us a glimpse of what's possible.
Exactly, a reminder of the love and unity that are at the heart of creation.
That's pretty inspiring.
It is. It begs the question, what role do you play in all of this?
Good question.
Do any of these waves resonate with your experiences and aspirations?
That's something I'm definitely going to be pondering after this deep dive. But before we get too lost in the cosmic implications, let's bring it back down to Earth for a moment.
Okay.
One of the biggest challenges wanderers face is navigating relationships, especially when those relationships involve conflict or harm.
You're right. That comes up a lot in the channeled messages.
Like, how can we love unconditionally when others seem to be deliberately causing harm? Is that even possible?
It's a tough one. It's something I think a lot of us struggle with, whether we identify as wanderers or not.
Totally. And it's a question we'll be exploring more in the next part of our deep dive. We'll dig into the challenges of balancing love and wisdom in relationships and uncover some tools and insights to help us navigate all of that.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned, listeners. The journey's just getting started. We've got more fascinating insights to uncover, more wisdom to share, and more mind-bending concepts to explore. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the universe.
I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into wanderers. As we've been talking about these souls from higher densities choosing to be here on Earth, one question that keeps coming up for me is this whole idea of difficult relationships.
Yeah. It's a common thread for sure in these messages. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Wanderers come here with so much love and compassion, but then they're faced with a world where free will often leads to, well, conflict, misunderstanding, even harm.
Exactly. It's like stepping into a cosmic drama with a totally open heart, but not really knowing the rules of the game.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. And one of the biggest challenges they face is balancing that desire to help with the understanding that they can't force anyone to change or to follow a particular path.
Right. So how do you even hold that tension? How do you offer love and support without getting all tangled up in someone else's drama or, sacrificing your own well-being in the process?
Well, the sources offer some guidance on that. Ep.10, for example, emphasizes that true service isn't about fixing others or like rescuing them from their challenges.
That's interesting.
It's more about empowering them to find their own way to make their own choices and to learn from their own experiences.
So it's less about being a savior and more about being like a guide, a companion on the journey.
Exactly. And that takes a delicate balance of love and wisdom. Love compels us to reach out to offer support, to hold space for others' pain. But wisdom reminds us we can't control anyone else's choices or outcomes.
It's about recognizing that everyone is on their own unique path, and that sometimes the most loving thing we can do is step back and let them walk that path.
Right, even if it means they might make mistakes or face consequences.
Exactly. Which brings us to boundaries.
Oh yeah, boundaries. Big one.
Setting boundaries isn't about being cold or uncaring, right? It's more about honoring our own needs and limits, recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. Like that saying you hear about putting your own oxygen mask on first before helping others.
Right. You can't help anyone if you're gasping for air yourself.
Exactly. And boundaries aren't static either. They can change as our relationships and circumstances do.
So it's an ongoing process, a dance of love and wisdom that needs constant attention.
You got it. And it can be extra challenging for wanderers who are often so sensitive and empathetic.
Yeah, they feel things so deeply. They pick up on others' emotions, and it can be hard for them to separate their own energy from what's around them.
Absolutely. They're like sponges absorbing everything, both good and bad. And that can lead to feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, even losing themselves.
So self-care is crucial for wanderers.
Absolutely. They need to find ways to recharge, cleanse their energy, reconnect with their own inner light.
Like meditation, nature, creative expression.
All of that. Things that help us tune in and replenish our energy.
Because coming to Earth is an intense experience, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like diving into a pool full of glitter, sparkly and fun at first, but then you've got glitter everywhere.
I love that analogy.
And just like you need to wash off that glitter, wanderers need to cleanse their energy and reconnect with their inner light.
So it's like taking a cosmic shower.
Exactly. And that's where remembering their soul purpose is so important. Tapping into that inner knowing, that sense of why they're here and what they're meant to contribute.
It's not just about being here to help. It's about expressing their unique gifts and talents, their own spark of divinity.
You got it. And for wanderers, that often means shaking things up, challenging the status quo, bringing new perspectives to old ways of doing things.
They're the rule breakers.
Yeah.
The ones who are like, wait, why are we doing it this way? There's got to be a better way.
Exactly. And that willingness to question, to explore, to push the boundaries is what makes them such powerful agents of change.
But it can also make them feel like outsiders,
Yeah.
right? Like they don't quite fit in.
That's common. especially for those who came from higher densities where unity and harmony are just the norm. It's like being dropped into a foreign country with a totally different language and customs.
So it's about finding a way to bridge that gap, to share their wisdom and compassion without losing themselves in the process.
Exactly. It often involves a process of integration, learning to balance their spiritual awareness with the everyday realities of life on Earth.
Like finding that sweet spot where their wisdom can inform their actions without losing touch with the human experience.
Yeah. And that's what makes the wanderer's journey so powerful and transformative. They help us remember who we are, awaken to our own potential, and create a world that reflects love and unity.
And that's a mission worth supporting.
Absolutely.
We're all in this together, right?
Uh,
Whether we came from distant stars or were born right here.
we're all part of the same tapestry, each thread adding to the beauty and complexity of it all.
Which brings us to something Hayton brought up, this idea that eternity isn't something we prepare for in the future. It's happening right now.
Yeah, that's a big one. It makes you rethink how you view your life.
It challenges us to see how often we get caught up in the day-to-day stuff and put off our spiritual growth.
How often do we say, when I achieve this, then I'll be happy, or when I have that, then I'll feel fulfilled?
Right. But what if true fulfillment is available right now in this moment, no matter what's happening around us?
That's exactly it. And it's a radical shift. It can be liberating, but also a bit scary.
Because it means letting go of trying to control everything and facing the unknown.
Exactly. It's about surrendering to the present moment, trusting the flow of life, allowing ourselves to be guided by something bigger than our own minds.
I can see how that would be tough for wanderers who came from realms where time and space are experienced so differently.
Absolutely. They
There.
might really miss that sense of unity, that interconnectedness they felt back home.
There's about creating pockets of harmony and peace in their own lives and radiating that energy outward.
Exactly. And that's where things like meditation, mindfulness, connection with nature become so important.
They offer a way to reconnect with that sense of wholeness, that connection to the divine spark within.
It's like finding an oasis in the desert.
Yes,
Yeah.
a place to reconnect and recharge.
Speaking of the journey, let's talk about this process of remembering their true nature, their soul's origin, their mission here.
You know, when we were talking about those waves of wanderers earlier, I was wondering about that. How do these souls from such advanced places end up forgetting who they are and where they came from?
Well, the messages say it's part of how Earth is designed.
It's like a cosmic game of hide and seek.
Yeah, they choose to veil their memories, their true nature, to fully experience being human.
Okay, but then how do they remember? How do they wake up to their true nature and mission?
It's a process often triggered by certain life experiences, spiritual practices, or encounters with others who reflect their true essence back to them.
Like breadcrumbs leading them back to themselves.
Exactly. And it can be a really beautiful journey of self-discovery.
And that sense of purpose is connected to their mission, right? Their
Yeah.
reason for being here.
Exactly. And while each wanderer's mission is unique, there are some common themes.
Like what?
Well, one is this desire to help humanity evolve, to awaken to its potential to create a world that reflects love and unity.
It's like they're here to remind us of who we really are, to help us see beyond the illusions and empower us to create a better reality.
Exactly. And they do this in so many ways through their actions, their words, their energy, their very presence.
So it's not always about grand gestures or saving the world. It can be as simple as being kind, listening with an open heart, radiating love and compassion.
Exactly. And those small acts can have a huge ripple effect.
It's like that quote, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love.
Perfect. It's a reminder that even in the midst of darkness, there's always hope, always the potential for love and light to win.
Which brings us to another key part of the wanderer's journey, and one we'll explore more in the next part of our dive, the importance of cultivating wisdom informed by love.
Yes, it's about finding that balance between compassion and discernment, between wanting to help and understanding that we can't control other people's choices.
It's about recognizing that sometimes the most loving thing to do is step back, set boundaries, and let others learn from their own experiences.
Exactly. And it's a journey that takes ongoing awareness, self-reflection, and a willingness to learn and grow.
So stay tuned, listeners, because we're about to dive even deeper into this whole wanderer thing, exploring the nuances of love and wisdom and uncovering tools and insights to help us navigate our own lives with more grace and understanding. Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yes.
It's wild how much we've covered already, you know? From like the nature of wanderers and their missions here to this whole idea of love and wisdom in this crazy world.
Yeah, it really shows you how deep this topic goes, and the fact that we're still talking about it means there's so much more to discover about these wanderers among us.
Absolutely. And in this last part, I really want to dig into this idea of eternity being now. It's kind of mind-blowing, but it also feels like it ties into everything we've been talking about.
You're so right. It's a paradox for sure, but it gets right to the core of what it means to be a wanderer. You remember those channeled messages we've been looking at?
Yeah.
Yada had this amazing exercise, Imagine stripping away all your stuff, your roles, even your physical body. What's left? That's the eternal you, Yada says.
Whoa. It's like hitting the reset button on who you think you are.
Yeah.
Going beyond all those labels and stories we tell ourselves.
Exactly. And it can be a little scary at first,
Right.
facing that vastness, that unknown part of yourself. But it's also super freeing. All of a sudden, the stuff we worry about, the dramas we get caught up in, they don't seem as important anymore.
Right. It puts things in perspective.
Yeah. What you're left with is this core self connected to something way bigger than our everyday problems.
I can see how that shift would be huge for wanderers,
Yeah,
especially those who came from those higher densities where it's all about unity and oneness.
absolutely. They might really long for that feeling of connection and struggle to find it here on Earth. So remembering that they're eternal, that they're connected to Source, can be like a lifeline. It helps them through the tough stuff and reminds them of their mission.
It's like remembering they're not just human beings going through a spiritual experience. They're
Yeah.
spiritual beings having a human experience.
Exactly. And that changes everything. It reminds them that they have access to wisdom and help from beyond the physical world. They're not alone in this.
And it makes me think about how important meditation and inner work are for wanderers. If they're dealing with all this earthly density all the time, they need ways to reconnect with their true nature.
You're so right. Yada talks about how meditation isn't just about relaxing. It's about peeling back the layers of illusion and meeting your true self. It's about finding that stillness inside where we can access the wisdom and guidance we need.
And it's about that balance of love and wisdom we keep talking about. Knowing when to take action, when to step back, how to support without getting lost in other people's stuff.
Exactly. It takes practice. But the more we connect with our eternal selves, the more we tap into that inner wisdom, the easier it becomes.
It's like tuning into a higher frequency, aligning with the wisdom and love of the universe and letting that energy flow through us.
Beautifully put. And it reminds us that we're all connected, part of the same cosmic tapestry, even if we forget sometimes. The wanderer's journey is really a journey we're all on. A journey of waking up, remembering who we are, and creating a world that reflects the love and unity that's at the heart of it all.
It's a beautiful way to put it. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one last thought from Yada. How many illusions shall you pierce within the next day, week, or month? It's a challenge to keep questioning, keep exploring, keep diving deeper into the mysteries of it all.
And as you do remember, you're not alone. You've got a whole team of guide supporters, fellow travelers cheering you on every step of the way.
So keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Until next time, may your journey be filled with wonder, wisdom, and love.